Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Today I'm in this 2012 Mercedes CLS 350 turbo diesel. This is the second generation CLS. From the minute the original CLS was released in 2004, I was a big fan. I thought they looked awesome. It was like nothing else on the market. That first generation CLS ran until late 2010, when in 2011 they released this Mark II. If you have a quick look on Auto Trader, you'll see early Mark 1s for next to nothing. They're really as cheap as chips. But I don't think they've aged particularly well. They look quite old-fashioned and dated. That rounded banana-shaped saloon coupe thing which made it stand out in the first place hasn't stood the test of time particularly well. If you refine your search a little bit and start looking at Mark IIs, that's when they get a whole lot better. The styling on this second generation CLS is much better, much more aggressive and muscular. It's a properly good car this, and you can pick them up from as little as £8,000, which I think is such a bargain. In case you don't know, the CLS was made to be a sportier but slightly less practical E-Class, sitting in the range somewhere between the E-Class and the S-Class. It's described as a four-door coupe, which is a bit of a lie because it's technically a saloon, 4 doors and a boot. But like a coupe, it only has 4 seats, which did limit the market somewhat. Under the bonnet is a 3-litre turbo diesel V6, which produces 265 horsepower. There were lots of other petrol and diesel options, but this is probably the best all-rounder. This will do 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds. It's limited to 155 miles an hour, and it will still average 40 miles per gallon. So, like I said, the best all-rounder. When I was doing my research, I was staggered by the number of torques this produces. This produces 457 pound-feet of torque, which, to put into context, is almost as much as my SL55. The fuel tank will hold 59 litres, which means a full tank of premium diesel here in the UK will set you back £75. Road tax isn't high either. 12 months will cost you £205. Styling-wise, I think it looks class. It looks elegant, but it also looks like it's got some get up and go. I read that the designers took some styling cues from the SLS, and you can tell. It's a good looking car, this. I love the frameless doors, it's very sleek and elegant. Because of its rakish, sloping design, headroom in the back of the Mark I wasn't brilliant. They've improved that with the Mark II, but it is still compromised slightly. Generally though, it does feel roomier than the Mark I. That's thanks to this CLS being bigger in every single aspect. So if you floor it, the 7-speed gearbox will change up at about 4,000 RPM. And already there I am breaking the law slightly. I love Mercedes cruise control of this era. It is as easy as that. You find yourself using the cruise control stored there instead of the indicator sometimes, but it is that easy to set the cruise. You just tap it and that's it. Relax. If you had a job where you had to do lots of miles, this car would be perfect. It would make a great grand tourer. The boot's a good size. It offers 520 litres of space. There are also plenty of storage compartments all throughout the car, which is good, but I guarantee you'll end up misplacing things. It all feels nice and solid and well engineered, like a proper Mercedes should. Everything you touch feels well built and expensive. You have the automatic gear selector mounted on the column up here, which frees up this space here for cup holders and storage compartments, which is quite a nice, neat design. One thing which lets it down though is the foot-operated handbrake, which does feel about as current as a fax machine. The infotainment system's pretty good. The clarity and the quality of the display is excellent. It's also very easy to operate using this iDrive style rotary knob. The quality of the reverse camera is pretty good for a car of this age. This one's a nice spec with fully electric seats, which are heated too, which is handy on a day like today. They've also done a good job with the soundproofing. You don't hear much wind or road noise. It's all quite nice and refined. This would be a great car to eat up a lot of miles in. The seats are nice and comfortable, and the steering's pretty good too. It's just a pleasure to drive and be in. It's not as sporty as a BMW 6 Series Grand Coupe, but good enough to satisfy buyers of this kind of car. This uses Mercedes' 7-speed automatic gearbox, which I've never been a massive fan of. Around town it feels a little bit hesitant and easily confused. Yes, I know it's better for fuel economy, but no car really needs more than 5 or 6 gears at a push. Later models came with a 9-speed automatic gearbox, which I think was designed in conjunction with Eddie Stobbart. Reliability-wise, Mercedes electrics were greatly improved by the time this model came out, so that shouldn't be anything to worry about. Generally speaking, or perhaps optimistically speaking, if you service it and look after it well, you shouldn't have any big wallet-busting bills. Make sure you change the engine oil regularly, and then the timing chain should last the life of the car. I'd also recommend servicing the gearbox every 80 to 100,000 miles. It's best practice with a luxury car like this to keep on top of any faults as and when they occur. If you don't and you let them build up, you'll end up with a long list of faults and an equally long invoice. My recommendation, as always, is find a good Mercedes specialist, let them do your servicing and just stick with them. On diesel models like this, you'll end up having to replace the glow plugs every 8 years or 100,000 miles. That seems to be my experience anyway. Another fairly common issue on these diesel engines were issues with the DPF. Now for that I would recommend using premium diesel, because that always seems to help. Unfortunately I can't provide any scientific evidence or facts with that, but I always run mine on premium diesel and I've never had any DPF issues. And I would also recommend that you take them on a long and steady motorway run a few times a month. That should keep the system all clear. Of course, if you're not planning to do many miles, then you're better off going for a petrol. Now my choice would be the CLS 500, which uses a 4.6 litre V8. Just like the one Ray Donovan has. Every single time I'd watch that show, I'd find myself spending the entire evening on Auto Trader looking at CLS 500s. Surprisingly though, the CLS 500's 0 to 60 time is only about a second and a half quicker than this. Anyway, sounds good. So all in all, it's a very good car, this. A very good successor to the first CLS. But the only thing that would put me off buying a CLS like this is its rivals. Because I think I would rather have an Audi A7, and I would rather have a 640 diesel Grand Coupe, or even a Jaguar XF. And that's kind of the problem. For example, the Audi A7 that I filmed with several months ago just felt, I don't know, just felt more special than this. And I know for a fact a BMW 640 diesel Grand Coupe would drive better than this. So I'm not sure I would actually spend my own money on a CLS Mark II. And that's the biggest problem for Mercedes with the CLS. When it was first released, they had the market all to themselves because it was a niche that they created. But now the rivals have not only caught up, but overtaken. Well, I think that's it. Thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. I'm nearly at 100,000 subscribers, so thank you to everyone who has subscribed. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'll leave the link below. And yeah, cheers guys. I'll see you next time.